Hi guys, so today we're going to be reading chapters 9 and 10 in Freak the Mighty. If you need to go back and review chapters 1 through 4 or 5 through 9, those videos and the PDF is still up on Google Classroom. And on this video, I'm going to be reading chapters 9 and 10 to you, but if you'd rather read individually on your own, that PDF is still posted with the chapter 1 and 4 originally last week. You can still pull up that PDF and read individually. If you are going to follow along, we're on page 59 of the PDF version. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and read the two chapters to you. So chapter 9, Life is Dangerous. So out we go. It's a habit by now, Freak riding up high on my shoulders and using his little feet to steer me if I forget where we're going. Not that we always know. Freak likes to make things up as he goes along. You think you're just walking down this ordinary sidewalk and really you're crossing this dangerous bridge, the kind made of vines that hangs high up in the air over a deep canyon. And when Freak makes it up, it seems so real, you're afraid to look down or you'll get dizzy and fall off the sidewalk. Don't ever look down, he says. Just keep your eyes closed. And then he puts his hands over my eyes and tells me to keep walking straight. 1 foot, he says. Now the next. I'm fighting to keep my balance and his hands are making me dizzy. 1 more step, Freak says. Steady, steady. Now lift up your your foot. There, we made it. And he takes his hands away and I see we've crossed the street. Go east, he says when I get to the end of the block. That way, mighty steed, yonder lies the east. I go, how do you know which way is east? And then something is glinting in my eye and Freak is showing me his little compass. The official Cub Scout compass? That's a clever disguise so you don't know how valuable it is, he says. This is actually a rare and valuable artifact passed down for generations. Lancelot used it too. So did Sir Gawain. And for a time the Black Knight kept it on a chain next to his heart. I go, so the Black Knight was a Cub Scout, huh? And Freak laughs and says, that way, we go to the east on a secret mission. We walk for miles, way beyond the pond and the playground and the school, and for a while we're going through this really ritzy neighborhood of big white houses and blue swimming pools. Freak keeps saying stuff like, that's the castle of Everrace. Yonder lies the bloated moat. And when we go under trees, he'll say, proceed with caution, or all clear, depending on how low the branches come down. We must be east, I say. Have we got to yonder yet? Because my stupid feet are getting sore. But Freak pats me on the head and says, yonder always lies over the horizon. You could look it up if you don't believe me. Oh, I believe you. On and on, block after block, through all these neighborhoods that Freak says are really secret kingdoms. I'll bet we've gone 10 miles at least, because my legs thinks it's been 100. And even as light as Freak is, he's starting to feel heavy. We're almost there, he says. Turn at the end of the block. Where is it we're going? You'll see, he says, and you will be amazed. Ahead there's this busy intersection, cars whizzing by, and it all seems sort of familiar. Can we stop for a Coke? I say. Grim gave me $1, big deal, but we can split it. Freak goes, then that shall be your reward, faithful steed. Tinted sucrose and bubbles of air. Onward, onward to the fortress. It turns out the fortress looks like a part of a hospital, which it is. The regular hospital is around the front, and there's this new building added out the back. Medical research, it says over the door, and I know because I made Freak spell it out. Does that mean they do experiments and stuff? Freak says, indeed, they do. What kind of experiments? I ask. Can you keep a secret? He says. Do you swear on your honor? Sure, on my honor. Freak is really excited. He's shifting around on my shoulders so much I'm afraid he'll fall off. That's not good enough, he says. You need to swear by your blood. You mean like cut myself? Well, no, he says, and you can tell he's thinking about it real hard. An actual incision is not necessary. It's the same thing if you just spit on your hand. Huh? Saliva is like blood without the red, he says. Do as I say, spit in your hand. So I spit in my hand, just a little drop, but Freak says it doesn't matter how much. A single molecule would work, because it's the principle of the thing. Now put your hand over your heart, he says. I put my hand over my heart. Now swear on your heart that the data you are about to receive will be divulged to no one. I swear. Freak bends down and he's got his hands cupped around my ear and he's whispering. Inside the research building is a secret laboratory called the Experimental Bionics Unit. The unit's mission is to develop a form of bionic robot for human modification. What's that? I say. Shh! Speak of this to no one, but at some future time as yet undetermined, I will enter that lab and become the first bionically improved human. I still don't know what it means, I say. Bionics, and please don't tell me to look it up in the dictionary. Bionics, Freak says, that's the science of designing replacement parts for the human body. You mean like mechanical arms and legs? That's ancient history, Freak says. The bionics unit in the building, a whole new body just my size. Yeah? What'll it look like, a robot? A human robot, Freak says. Also, it will look a lot like me, only enlarged and improved. Yeah, right, I say. Let's go home, my feet are tired. Freak tugs hard at my hair. True, he says with his voice getting high and excited. I've been in there, in the special unit. I have to go every few months for tests. They've taken my measurements, analyzed my blood and metabolic rates. They've monitored my cardiac rhythms and my respiratory functions. I've already been x-rayed and CAT scanned and sonogrammed. They're fitting me for a bionic transplant. I'm going to be the first. I can tell he really means it. This isn't a pretend quest or making houses into castles or swimming pools into moats. This is why we came here, so Freak could show me where he's been. The place is important to him. I understand this much, even if I still don't understand about bionics or what it means to be a human robot. Will it hurt? I ask. Getting your parts replaced? Freak doesn't answer for a while, and then he says in his stern, smart voice, Sure it will hurt, but so what? Pain is just a state of mind. You can think your way out of anything, even pain. I'm pretty worried about the whole deal, and I go, But why do you want to be the first? Can't someone else be first? Isn't it dangerous? Life is dangerous, Freak says, and you can tell he's thought a lot about this. After a while, he kicks me with his little feet and says, Home. Chapter 10. Rats are worse. One thing that happened over the summer, I grew even more. Grim takes a look at me one day and goes, All that walking you do, it must be stretching out your legs. And carrying poor Kevin around, that seems to be putting real muscle on you. He's not that heavy. And anyhow, it's not fair everybody always says poor Kevin. That's just because he didn't grow. Grim gives me this long, sorrowful look, and then he clears his throat and says, You're quite right. He is a rather remarkable boy. He's memorized almost the whole dictionary. You can ask him anything and he knows what it means. You don't say, Grim says, and he has this smug look like maybe Freak is lying and a total goon like me would never get it. And I want to tell him he's wrong about Freak in the dictionary, but instead I just shut my face and go down under. Grim, he's okay sometimes, like when Tony D chased us into the pond, but most of the time he thinks he knows everything, which he doesn't. And if you don't believe me, look under Grim in the dictionary. It sure doesn't say a smart grown-up. No way. So I'm hanging out down under, listening to some of my thrash tapes on the fake Walkman I got last Christmas, when Freak pops up on the side of my bed. Because of the headphones and the volume being pumped up to megadecibel, I never hear him come in. He's just suddenly there, like whoa. And I'll bet I jumped about a foot. Freak rolls his eyes and goes, Ah, music. How it calms the savage beast. How'd you get here? Would you believe teleportation? No? Then I came down through the bulkhead door like always, and like always, I have a quest in mind. Right away I go, my feet hurt. We don't have to leave this neighborhood. Cool. What kind of quest is this? Freak grins. A treasure hunt. Except we don't really have to hunt because I already know where the treasure is. Where? Underground, he says, specifically in the sewer. Yeah, right, I say and sit back down on the bed. Freak is looking at me sideways and I can tell he's not telling me everything, which he almost never does, not all at once. Truth, he says. The treasure is hidden in a storm drain. This has been confirmed by visual observation. Treasure in a storm drain? You mean like gold and diamonds kind of stuff? Possibly, he says, acting mysterious. Anything is possible. The deal is we have to wait until night, so no one can see us messing with the storm drain. Not just night, Freak says. We need to do it at exactly 3 in the morning. Optimum darkness occurs at 0300 hours, he says, looking at the new watch his mom gave him, the kind that tells you what time it is in Tokyo, just in case you're wondering. We must dress in black and cover our faces with soot. For the next couple of hours, we try to find soot, but it turns out you need a fireplace for soot, or at least a chimney. So Freak finally decides that my idea about using regular dirt will have to do. I've got black dungarees, I say, but no black shirts. Can I just wear a dirty shirt? Freak makes a face and says, What a disgusting idea. Don't worry about the shirt, I'll get you one. Can you manage black socks? You ever notice how long it takes for things to happen when you know they're supposed to happen? My fake Walkman has a built-in alarm, and I set it for 2 in the morning and wear the headphones to bed. But before you can wake up, you have to fall asleep. And I never do fall asleep because I keep waiting for the alarm to go off, which is, I know, typical butthead behavior. I'm lying awake in the dark on a hot summer night and I'm thinking, treasure in the sewer? What kind of quest is this, huh? Is Freak completely making this up or what? Meanwhile, there's this cricket making this creaky cricket noise that normally is okay, except when you're trying to fall asleep. Then it's not okay. And you want a big can of Raid, send it to Disney World or Insect Heaven or wherever it is that dead crickets go. Question. How come Freak knows about this stuff in the storm drain? Question. How come we have to put dirt on our faces? Question. How come 3 in the morning? Question. How long do crickets live? Finally, I give up on the first 3 and work on the cricket problem. But the little critter is pretty clever, and it stops cricketing whenever I get too close. And I never do find it and squash it with my shoe, which I swear I am ready to do, even if crickets are supposed to be harmless. And then after almost forever, it gets to be 2:30 and I figure that's close enough. I'll go up and wait under Freak's window like I promised. There's no moon, the sky is dark and empty, and the backyards are so lonesome it feels creepy and exciting. The truth is, I've never been out alone at this time of night. I only fall down a couple of times, which isn't bad considering how hard it is to see. When I get to Freak's bedroom window, he's waiting for me. You sound like a car wreck, he says. You better put on this shirt so you don't glow in the dark. Out of the window, he hands me this silly-feeling shirt. Hey, wait a minute. This is your mom's blouse. It's black, he says. That's what counts, the camouflage factor. Forget it, I say, and give him back the fair Gwen's blouse. Freak sighs. Okay, he says. Roll around on the ground and darken yourself. That's easy, and better than wearing some dumb blouse. What about you? I ask when I'm covered with dirt, enough so I want to sneeze. Freak goes, Beware the Force, Earthling. And he stands up in the window, and I can see he's got a Darth Vader costume on, except he's not wearing the mask part. He opens the window all the way, and I lift him out to put him on my shoulders. He goes, Pledge to me your fealty. And I say, Huh? And he says, Never mind, there's no time to look up fealty. Just promise you'll do what I say. I promise. Go to the end of the block, he orders. Attempt to conceal us in the shadows. That's easy because the street is one big shadow. It's so dark I can hardly see my feet, or maybe I got some dirt in my eyes. But the point is, no one sees us because there's no one to see us. You'd never know anybody lived here, let alone a whole block full of people. It's like we're on an empty planet or something. Was the real Darth Vader as tall as this? Freak asks from where he's riding high up on my shoulders. I thought that was just a movie. You know what I mean. What's that? That is a cat that runs out from under my feet, so out of nowhere sudden that my heart goes wham! Was it a black cat? Freak wants to know. Too dark to tell, I say. Are we almost there? Finally, I figure out it's hard to see because the Darth Vader cap is hanging in my eyes, but by then we're at the end of the block and the storm drain is right there by the curb. See if you can pull it open, Freak says. He's standing with his arms folded and the expression on his face. Well, he really does look like a pint-sized Darth Vader. I hook my hands in the storm drain grate and give it a heave, but nothing happens. I can't budge it. Try again, he says with his arms folded like he's the lord of the universe. I try again and it's like the grate is superglued or something. No way can I pull it up. Freak is tugging at my leg and he goes, Option 2 is now in effect. He reaches inside his little cape. Out comes a flashlight, one of those small kinds that looks sort of like a cigarette lighter, and also a spool of kite string. I devised a special retrieval device, Freak says. Looks like a bent paperclip on a string, I say, and Freak tells me to shut up and follow orders. You hold the string, he says, and then he gets down on his knees and shines the little flashlight through the grate. Can you see it? He asks. Can you? I look, but it's hard to see anything, and it smells like something died in the storm drain. Which comes to think of it, it probably did. Rats or worse. Down there, Freak says. The beam is hitting it right now. That's just a piece of junk. Wrong, Freak says, real fierce. It looks like a piece of junk. It may very well contain fabulous wealth. Drop the line down and see if you can hook it. I'm thinking, boy, what a butthead. Rolling in the dirt for this little Darth Vader so he can play pretend games in the middle of the night. But I do what he asks. I drop the hook down, and much to my surprise, it actually hooks into something. And when I pull it up on the kite string, I can see what it is. A purse, I say. Looks like a grotty old purse. Careful, Freak says. Pull it up to the grate so I can grab the strap. I bring it up an inch at a time, and Freak, manages to get his small hand down through the grate and grab hold of the soggy old purse, and then he almost drops it. I yank up on the kite string, and we both manage to squeeze the slimy purse up through the bars. Phew! Mission accomplished, Freak says. The old purse is torn and wet, and I don't want to touch it unless I have gloves on. Gross, I say. Somebody must have flushed this down the toilet. No way, Freak says. I saw one of Tony D's punks stuff it down there yesterday morning. Yeah, they must have stole it. No doubt, Freak says, and he opens the clasp and points his light inside the purse. By now, I know there isn't going to be any treasure, but this is pretty cool. Recovering stuff that Blade's gang ripped off from some little old lady or whatever. A wallet, Freak says, and he flips open this cheap-looking wallet, the kind that's made to hold credit cards. There's no money inside, but there is a plastic ID card, and on the plastic card is a lady's name. Loretta Lee, Freak says. I'll bet you anything she's a damsel in distress. Which, as it turns out, is almost true. The real deal is that she's a damsel who causes distress, which we find out the very next day. All right, so that was chapters 9 and 10. I want you guys to go to Google Classroom, and there's a Google Doc on there that says chapter 9 and 10 summaries. You're going to write a 50 to 100 word summary of each chapter. So you're going to summarize chapter 9 in about 50 to 100 words, and then summarize chapter 10, 50 to 100 words. We haven't went over summaries yet, but I think you guys have learned how to summarize chapters and how to summarize things in the past. So I want you to really try your best so I know what you know and what you still need to learn, okay? You will have a test over summarizing here within the next month. So I need to know what you guys still need to learn so that I can teach you that before we take that test, all right? So if you have any questions, please email me. If you don't remember exactly what happened to be able to write your summaries, then you can listen to this video again, or you can always reference the PDF that is on Google Classroom. Okay, so if you have any questions, call me or on my Google Voice number, or you can email me, and I want you guys to have a good day. Bye, guys.